Life has a way of throwing challenges our way, some small, others monumental. Maybe you've felt the weight of a sudden setback at work, a personal loss, or even just the daily grind wearing you down. It's in these moments when everything feels like it's working against you that the ancient wisdom of Stoicism offers a radical perspective. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic thinkers, once said, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. What if I told you that the very obstacles you're facing right now could be the stepping stones to your greatest growth? That adversity isn't just something to endure, it's something to harness. In this video, we're diving deep into transformative Stoic tactics that will help you rise above life's challenges and turn them into opportunities for next-level success. This isn't just about surviving adversity, it's about thriving because of it. So, if you're ready to shift your mindset and unlock the power within you, let's get started. What can you truly control in life? Think about it for a moment. The weather, traffic, other people's opinions, these are all things we can't dictate, no matter how much we might wish otherwise. This is where the Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control comes into play. It's a simple yet profound idea. Focus only on what is within your power and let go of what isn't. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "Some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion. In short, whatever is of our own doing. Everything else, it's simply not ours to control." This mindset isn't just philosophical, it's practical. By directing your energy toward what you can influence, you reduce stress and build resilience. For example, imagine you've just received harsh criticism at work. You can't control what someone else says about you, but you can control how you respond. Do you let it rattle your confidence, or do you use it as feedback to improve? The choice is yours, and that's where your power lies. Now, take a moment to reflect. What's one situation where you've wasted energy trying to control the uncontrollable? Maybe it was obsessing over a delayed flight or worrying about someone else's choices. Recognizing these moments is the first step toward reclaiming your focus and energy. When you shift your attention to what's truly within your grasp, you'll find a sense of calm and clarity that can transform how you navigate life's challenges. What if every setback was a gift? At first, that might sound counterintuitive, even impossible. After all, when life knocks us down, it's natural to feel frustration, anger, or even despair. But what if, instead of resisting those moments, you could learn to embrace them? This is the heart of Amor Fati, a Stoic principle that translates to love of fate. It's not just about accepting what happens, it's about actively loving it, seeing every twist and turn as an essential part of your journey. Friedrich Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by Stoic philosophy, captured this idea perfectly when he said, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. Here was a man who faced immense personal and professional challenges, constant wars, betrayals, and the death of multiple children. Yet, rather than succumbing to bitterness, he used these trials as fuel for his growth. His meditations, written during some of the darkest moments of his life, are a testament to how he turned adversity into wisdom. He didn't just endure his fate, he loved it, seeing it as an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So, how does this apply to you? Think about the challenges you're facing right now. Maybe it's a career setback, a strained relationship, or even a health issue. What if, instead of viewing these as obstacles, you saw them as opportunities? How could they be shaping you for something greater? Amor Fati invites you to shift your perspective, not just to tolerate life's difficulties, but to find meaning and purpose in them. This doesn't mean you have to enjoy every hardship. It's about recognizing that even the toughest moments have the potential to teach you something valuable. When you start to see adversity as a teacher rather than an enemy, you unlock a powerful mindset, one that allows you to thrive no matter what life throws your way. So the next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, what is this moment trying to show me? How can I use it to grow? By embracing Amor Fati, you're not just surviving life's storms, you're learning to dance in the rain. What if your biggest obstacle is actually your greatest teacher? It's a question that might stop you in your tracks, especially when you're in the thick of a challenge. But this is exactly what the Stoics believed, that every obstacle, no matter how daunting, holds the potential to teach us something profound. Ryan Holiday, a modern-day Stoic thinker, captures this idea beautifully in his book The Obstacle is the Way. He writes, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path. Never forget, within every obstacle is an opportunity to improve our condition." Think about it. When life throws something in your way, it's not just a random roadblock. It's an invitation to grow, adapt, and discover strength you never knew you had. Take the story of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. Before building a billion-dollar empire, she faced countless rejections and setbacks. Early in her career, she worked as a door-to-door salesperson, often hearing no more than yes. But instead of letting those rejections defeat her, she used them as fuel. She learned to refine her pitch, to understand her customers better, and to persist even when the odds seemed stacked against her. Fast forward to today, and she's one of the most successful self-made entrepreneurs in the world. Her obstacles didn't stop her, they shaped her. This is the essence of the Stoic approach, reframing challenges as opportunities. It's not about pretending that adversity is easy or enjoyable. It's about recognizing that within every difficulty lies the potential for growth. When you shift your mindset in this way, obstacles stop being things that happen to you and start becoming things that happen for you. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What obstacle in your life could you reframe as an opportunity? Maybe it's a project at work that feels overwhelming, or a personal goal that seems out of reach. What if, instead of seeing it as a barrier, you saw it as a chance to innovate, to learn, or to prove to yourself just how capable you are? The Stoics remind us that the way forward isn't around the obstacle, it's through it. By embracing this mindset, you're not just overcoming challenges, you're transforming them into stepping stones for success. So the next time you face a setback, pause and ask yourself, what can this teach me? How can I use this to become stronger, wiser, or more resilient? When you start to see obstacles as opportunities, you unlock a powerful way of thinking, one that turns adversity into your greatest ally. Death is not morbid, it's motivational. At first glance, this might seem like a bold claim, but for the Stoics, the awareness of mortality was one of the most powerful tools for living a meaningful life. They called this practice Memento Mori, a Latin phrase that translates to "remember you must die." Far from being a grim or depressing thought, it was a daily reminder to live with intention, to prioritize what truly matters, and to let go of the trivial distractions that so often consume our time. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, put it this way: "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested." Consider the life of Steve Jobs, who famously said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life." Jobs lived with a sense of urgency, knowing that time was finite. This awareness didn't paralyze him, it propelled him. He pursued his passions, took risks, and created innovations that changed the world. His story is a testament to how Memento Mori can serve as a catalyst for action rather than a source of fear. Now, let's bring this closer to home. Imagine for a moment that today were your last day. What would you do differently? Would you spend it scrolling through social media, or would you reach out to someone you love? Would you dwell on past regrets, or would you take a bold step toward a dream you've been putting off? Memento Mori isn't about dwelling on death. It's about using the inevitability of it to clarify what's truly important. When you live with this awareness, you stop procrastinating, stop sweating the small stuff, and start focusing on what brings you fulfillment and joy. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't require grand gestures. It's in the small, everyday choices, choosing kindness over anger, presence over distraction, and courage over fear. It's about asking yourself, if not now, when, and then taking action. When you embrace Memento Mori, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start making the most of the one you have. So as you go about your day, let this thought linger. Life is fleeting, but it's also rich with possibility. What will you do with the time you have? How will you ensure that when your time comes, you can look back with no regrets? Memento Mori is not just a reminder of life's end. It's an invitation to live fully, deeply, and with purpose. And that, in itself, is a gift. Imagine someone insults you. How do you respond? Your first instinct might be to fire back, to defend yourself, or to let their words sting. But what if you could step back, take a deep breath, and choose not to let their words disturb your peace? This is the essence of cognitive detachment, a Stoic practice that teaches us to separate our emotions from external events. Marcus Aurelius, who faced constant criticism and betrayal as a Roman emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Cognitive detachment isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't feel them. It's about recognizing that your reactions are within your control, even when the world around you feels chaotic. Think of it like this: if someone throws a ball at you, you don't have to catch it. You can let it bounce right past you. The same is true with words, actions, or even online negativity. Take the example of dealing with harsh comments on social media. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, responding impulsively or letting negativity ruin your day. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused and asked yourself, is this comment really about me, or is it a reflection of the other person's struggles? By stepping back, you create space to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. This small shift can save you from unnecessary stress and help you maintain your inner calm. Now think about your own life. What's one situation where you could practice greater emotional detachment? Maybe it's a difficult conversation with a colleague, a frustrating interaction with a family member, or even a moment of self-doubt when you're faced with criticism. By choosing not to let external events dictate your emotional state, you reclaim your power and build resilience. Cognitive detachment isn't about becoming indifferent or cold, it's about cultivating a sense of inner stability. When you master this practice, you'll find that the world's chaos no longer shakes you. Instead, you'll stand firm, rooted in your own sense of peace and purpose. So, the next time someone throws an emotional ball your way, remember, you don't have to catch it. You can let it pass, and in doing so, you'll find a deeper, more enduring strength. What's the worst that could happen? It's a question that might make you uncomfortable, but the Stoics believed it was one of the most powerful tools for building resilience. This practice, known as Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils, involves imagining the worst-case scenarios in advance. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, put it this way: what is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster. This is a reason for ensuring that nothing ever takes us by surprise. We should project our thoughts ahead of us at every turn and have in mind every possible eventuality instead of only the usual course of events. At first glance, this might sound pessimistic. Why dwell on the worst? But here's the twist: by visualizing potential challenges, you're not inviting them to happen. Instead, you're preparing yourself to face them with clarity and composure if they do. It's like walking into a storm with an umbrella. You're not hoping for rain, but you're ready for it. Take the story of General George Washington during the American Revolution. Facing an enemy with superior resources and numbers, he constantly anticipated setbacks, failed battles, supply shortages, even betrayal from within his own ranks. But rather than letting these possibilities paralyze him, he used them to prepare. By imagining the worst, he was able to devise strategies, rally his troops, and maintain his resolve even in the darkest moments. His ability to stay calm under pressure wasn't luck. It was the result of deliberate mental preparation. So, how can you apply this to your own life? Think about a challenge you're currently facing, whether it's a big presentation at work, a difficult conversation, or even a personal goal you're unsure you can achieve. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe you stumble over your words, or the conversation doesn't go as planned, or you fall short of your goal. Now, ask yourself, what would I do if that happened? How would I recover, adapt, or move forward? This exercise isn't about feeding fear, it's about building confidence. When you've already walked through the worst-case scenario in your mind, it loses its power to shock or overwhelm you. You're no longer caught off guard. Instead, you're prepared to respond with calm and clarity. The next time you're feeling anxious about the future, try this stoic practice. Visualize the challenges ahead, not to dwell on them, but to equip yourself to face them with strength. By anticipating adversity, you're not inviting it, you're disarming it. And in doing so, you'll find that even the most daunting obstacles become opportunities to prove your resilience and resourcefulness. How might this mindset shift help you approach your next challenge with greater confidence? Your perspective shapes your reality. This isn't just a motivational phrase. It's a fundamental truth that Stoicism has emphasized for centuries. How we see the world, the stories we tell ourselves about what happens to us, these are the lenses through which we experience life. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, put it simply: men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. In other words, it's not the events themselves that define us, it's how we choose to interpret them. Let's break this down with a modern example. Imagine you've just been passed over for a promotion at work. Your initial reaction might be disappointment, frustration, or even self-doubt. But what if, instead of seeing this as a failure, you reframed it as an opportunity? Maybe it's a chance to reassess your career path, to develop new skills, or to explore a role that aligns more closely with your passions. This shift in perspective doesn't erase the challenge, but it transforms how you engage with it. Suddenly, what felt like a dead end becomes a detour leading to something even better. This is the power of perspective. It's not about denying the reality of a situation, it's about choosing how you respond to it. Think of it like adjusting the focus on a camera lens. The same scene can look entirely different depending on how you frame it. When you choose to see adversity as a teacher rather than a tormentor, you unlock a sense of agency and possibility that can change everything. Now consider a challenge you're facing right now. How are you framing it in your mind? Are you seeing it as a roadblock, or could it be a stepping stone? For instance, if you're dealing with a financial setback, instead of focusing on what you've lost, could you focus on what you've learned? Perhaps it's a chance to build better habits, to prioritize what truly matters, or to discover creative solutions you might not have considered before. The beauty of this Stoic approach is that it empowers you to take control of your narrative. Life will always throw curveballs, but you get to decide whether they're obstacles or opportunities. When you shift your perspective, you're not just changing how you see the world, you're changing how the world affects you, and that's where true resilience begins. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, pause and ask yourself, how else could I look at this? What's the story I'm telling myself? And is there a more empowering way to frame it? By mastering the art of perspective, you don't just survive life's ups and downs, you thrive because of them. And that, more than anything, is the mark of a Stoic mindset. Success isn't about wealth or fame, it's about virtue. This might sound like a radical idea in today's world, where external achievements often take center stage, but for the Stoics, virtue was the highest good and the ultimate measure of a meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most celebrated Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This simple yet profound statement cuts to the heart of Stoic philosophy. Virtue isn't something you debate or admire from afar. It's something you embody through your actions every single day. But what exactly does it mean to live with virtue? For the Stoics, virtue wasn't just about being morally upright. It was about living in alignment with reason, wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. These qualities weren't just nice-to-haves, they were the foundation of a life well lived. Wealth, status, and comfort, those were considered indifferents, things that could be helpful or harmful depending on how they were used, but never the ultimate goal. Consider the life of Cato the Younger, a Roman statesman and Stoic who became a symbol of unwavering integrity. During a time of political corruption and moral decay, Cato stood firm in his principles, even when it cost him power and popularity. He refused to compromise his values, even in the face of immense pressure. His life wasn't easy, and his commitment to virtue often put him at odds with those around him. Yet, centuries later, he's remembered not for his wealth or titles, but for his unshakable character. Cato's story reminds us that true success isn't measured by external rewards, but by the strength of our inner principles. So, what would it look like to prioritize virtue in your daily life? It might mean choosing honesty over convenience, standing up for what's right even when it's unpopular, or practicing self-discipline when temptation strikes. It's in the small, consistent choices, the moments when you do the right thing, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. Imagine a world where more of us lived this way. What would change? How would our relationships, our work, and our communities be transformed if we placed virtue at the center of our lives? It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about striving to be a little better today than you were yesterday, and knowing that true success lies not in what you accumulate, but in the kind of person you become. As you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, what does virtue look like for you? How can you align your actions with your deepest values? When you start to see virtue as the ultimate goal, you'll find that the pursuit of it becomes its own reward, one that no external setback can ever take away. And in that pursuit, you'll discover a kind of success that's far more enduring than anything money or fame could ever provide. What do you crave most in life? Is it success, recognition, comfort, or perhaps even a sense of control? We all have desires, some big, some small, but how often do we stop to consider whether those desires are serving us or holding us back? This is where the Stoic discipline of desire comes into play. It's not about denying yourself what you want, but about aligning your wants with what is truly within your control. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, put it this way: freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Think about it. How much of your energy is spent chasing things that ultimately aren't up to you? The approval of others, the perfect job title, or even the latest trends. These are all external desires that can leave you feeling restless and unfulfilled. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from mastering your desires, not from letting them master you. Let's take a modern example: the urge for instant gratification. In a world where everything is just a click away, whether it's fast food, online shopping, or endless entertainment, it's easy to fall into the trap of wanting everything now. But what happens when you give in to that impulse? You might feel a fleeting sense of satisfaction, but it's often followed by regret, emptiness, or even financial stress. The Stoic approach would be to pause and ask yourself, is this desire truly serving me? Is it aligned with my long-term goals and values? By creating that moment of reflection, you give yourself the power to choose differently. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What's one desire you could let go of to find greater peace? Maybe it's the need for constant validation on social media, or the pressure to keep up with a lifestyle that doesn't truly resonate with you. When you release the grip of these external desires, you create space for what truly matters: inner calm, clarity, and a sense of purpose. The discipline of desire isn't about living a life of deprivation, it's about living a life of intention. When you align your wants with what's within your control, you free yourself from the endless cycle of chasing things that can never truly satisfy you. Instead, you focus on cultivating qualities like gratitude, self-discipline, and resilience, things that no one can take away from you. So, the next time you feel that pull towards something external, take a moment to reflect. Is this desire bringing you closer to your best self, or is it pulling you away? By mastering your desires, you're not just finding peace, you're reclaiming your freedom. What's one desire you're ready to let go of today? Are your actions aligned with your values? It's a question that cuts to the core of who we are and how we live. For the Stoics, the discipline of action wasn't just about what we do, it was about why we do it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, virtue isn't something you debate, it's something you do. Every action, no matter how small, is an opportunity to live in alignment with your principles, regardless of the outcome or external rewards. Take the story of George Washington Carver, a scientist and educator who embodied this Stoic ideal. Despite facing immense racial prejudice and systemic barriers, Carver devoted his life to improving the lives of others through his work in agriculture. He didn't seek fame or fortune, he simply focused on doing what was right and impactful. His actions, like developing crop rotation techniques that saved farms across the South, were rooted in integrity and purpose. Carver's legacy reminds us that when we act with intention and align our efforts with our values, we create ripples of positive change that extend far beyond ourselves. But let's bring this closer to home. Think about a recent decision you made, whether it was how you spent your time, how you treated someone, or how you responded to a challenge. Were your actions guided by your deepest values, or were they driven by external pressures or fleeting emotions? It's easy to get caught up in the noise of daily life, chasing approval, avoiding conflict, or prioritizing convenience over principle. The discipline of action challenges us to pause and ask, is this who I want to be? Now, consider this. What's one action you could take today to align more closely with your values? Maybe it's choosing kindness in a difficult conversation, standing up for something you believe in, or simply taking a step toward a goal that matters to you. It doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. Even small, consistent actions can have a profound impact over time. The beauty of this practice is that it gives you a sense of agency. You can't always control the outcomes of your efforts, but you can control the integrity and intention behind them. When you act with purpose, you're not just going through the motions, you're living with meaning. And that, in itself, is a form of success that no external reward can match. So, as you move through your day, let this thought guide you. Are your actions a reflection of your best self? By embracing the discipline of action, you're not just doing what's right, you're becoming who you are meant to be. How will you choose to act today? Your thoughts shape your reality. It's a simple statement, but one that holds immense power. The Stoics understood this deeply, which is why they placed such importance on the discipline of assent, the practice of controlling how we interpret and respond to the events around us. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, said it best: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, the way you perceive a situation, whether you see it as a disaster or an opportunity, determines how it affects you. Let's break this down with a modern example. Imagine you're about to give a presentation at work and you're gripped by self-doubt. Thoughts like, "What if I mess up?" Or, "What if they think I'm not good enough?" start swirling in your mind. These thoughts aren't just harmless, they shape your reality. If you believe you're going to fail, you're more likely to stumble over your words, lose confidence, or even avoid opportunities to speak up in the future. But what if, instead of letting those thoughts take over, you chose to reframe them? What if you told yourself, "This is a chance to share my ideas and grow," or, "Even if I make a mistake, it's an opportunity to learn"? Suddenly, the same situation feels entirely different. This is the essence of the discipline of assent. It's about taking control of your inner narrative, recognizing that your thoughts are not facts, they're interpretations. And those interpretations are within your power to change. The Stoics believed that by mastering this practice, you could transform even the most challenging circumstances into opportunities for growth. Now let's bring this closer to home. What's one thought pattern you could reframe to improve your life? Maybe it's the belief that you're not good enough, or the assumption that failure is something to fear. How might your life change if you challenged those thoughts and replaced them with more empowering ones? For instance, instead of thinking, "I'll never be able to do this," you could ask yourself, "What's one small step I can take to move forward?" The beauty of this practice is that it's accessible to everyone. You don't need special skills or tools, just a willingness to pause and question your automatic reactions. By doing so, you're not just changing your thoughts, you're changing your reality. So, the next time you catch yourself spiraling into negativity or self-doubt, remember, your thoughts are not your master. You have the power to choose how you interpret the world, and in that choice lies the key to greater resilience, clarity, and peace. What's one thought you're ready to reframe today? Resilience isn't innate, it's a skill. While some people might seem naturally unshakable in the face of adversity, the truth is, resilience is something we can all cultivate through practice. This is one of the core teachings of Stoicism, that our ability to endure, adapt, and thrive isn't fixed. It's built one deliberate choice at a time. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, put it this way: "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." In other words, hardship isn't just something to survive, it's something to train with, like a mental gym where every challenge makes you stronger. Consider the story of Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic thinkers. Born into slavery, he faced unimaginable hardships from the start. Yet, rather than letting his circumstances define him, he used them as a crucible for growth. He once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset didn't just help him survive, it allowed him to thrive, becoming a teacher whose wisdom continues to inspire millions today. Epictetus's life is a testament to the power of resilience, not as a trait you're born with, but as a skill you develop through practice. So, how can you start building this skill in your own life? Think about the small, everyday challenges you face. Maybe it's a difficult conversation with a loved one, a setback at work, or even just the stress of a busy schedule. Each of these moments is an opportunity to practice resilience. Instead of avoiding discomfort, what if you leaned into it? What if you saw every challenge as a chance to strengthen your mental and emotional muscles? One practical way to do this is through what the Stoics called voluntary discomfort. This might sound counterintuitive, but it's about intentionally putting yourself in situations that push you out of your comfort zone. It could be as simple as taking a cold shower, fasting for a day, or tackling a task you've been avoiding. By doing this, you train yourself to handle discomfort with calm and clarity, so when life throws an unexpected curveball, you're ready. Now, let's make this personal. What's one way you could practice resilience in your daily life? Could it be facing a fear, embracing a challenge, or simply choosing to respond with patience instead of frustration? The key is to start small. Resilience isn't about being unbreakable, it's about learning how to bend without breaking, and knowing that every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow stronger. When you approach life this way, you're not just surviving adversity, you're transforming it into a source of strength. And that's the art of resilience, turning obstacles into opportunities and proving to yourself time and time again that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. How will you practice this skill today? What are you grateful for right now? Take a moment to think about it. It might feel like a simple question, but in the midst of life's chaos, it can be a powerful anchor. For the Stoics, gratitude wasn't just a fleeting feeling. It was a deliberate practice, a way to cultivate joy and resilience even in the face of adversity. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." These words remind us that gratitude isn't just about the big wins or perfect moments. It's about finding beauty in the ordinary, even when life feels anything but easy. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you've had a long, exhausting day. Work was overwhelming, traffic was a nightmare, and by the time you get home, you're running on fumes. But as you sit down for dinner, you notice the warmth of the meal in front of you, or maybe the quiet comfort of your favorite chair. These small, everyday details, things we often take for granted, are where gratitude begins. The Stoics believed that by focusing on what we do have rather than what we lack, we can shift our perspective and find peace even in the midst of chaos. Take the example of a busy parent juggling work, family, and personal goals. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the demands of daily life. But what if, instead of focusing on the stress, they pause to appreciate the laughter of their child, the support of a partner, or even the quiet moment of sipping coffee before the day begins? These moments might seem small, but they're the building blocks of a grateful mindset. And over time, this practice can transform how we experience life, helping us find joy not just in the highs, but in the everyday. Now let's turn this inward. What's one thing you're grateful for, even in difficult times? Maybe it's the support of a friend, the beauty of nature, or even the lessons you've learned from past challenges. By taking a moment to reflect on this, you're not just practicing gratitude, you're rewiring your brain to notice the good, even when it's hidden beneath the surface. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable and adversity is inevitable. But they also knew that within every challenge lies an opportunity to find something to appreciate. When you make gratitude a daily habit, you're not just surviving the storms, you're learning to dance in the rain. So, as you move through your day, ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? The answer might surprise you, and it just might change everything. Where is your focus right now? Is it on the task in front of you? Or is it scattered across a dozen worries about the future or regrets from the past? For the Stoics, the present moment wasn't just a fleeting point in time. It was the only place where life truly happens. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, put it this way: we should always be asking ourselves, is this something that is or is not in my control? And if it's not in my control, I should let it go. This simple yet profound question is a reminder that the present is all we truly have. The past is gone and the future is uncertain. The only moment we can act, think, or live in is now. Consider the life of Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Before he became a philosopher, Zeno was a merchant who lost everything in a shipwreck. Stranded in Athens, he could have spent his days dwelling on his misfortune, replaying the events in his mind, or worrying about what the future held. Instead, he chose to focus on the present. He wandered into a bookstore where he discovered the teachings of Socrates and began studying philosophy. That moment of presence, of choosing to engage with what was right in front of him, changed the course of his life and ultimately led to the birth of Stoicism. Zeno's story is a powerful reminder that when we fully inhabit the present, we open ourselves to new possibilities, even in the face of adversity. But let's bring this closer to home. Think about your own life for a moment. How often are you truly present? Maybe you're physically in one place, but your mind is racing through to-do lists, replaying past conversations, or worrying about what's next. The Stoics believed that this mental scattering, this inability to be fully present, was one of the greatest sources of stress and dissatisfaction. When we're not fully here, we miss out on the richness of life as it unfolds. So, what's one way you could practice being more present today? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It could be as simple as putting away your phone during a meal, taking a few deep breaths before starting a task, or truly listening when someone speaks to you. These small acts of presence might seem insignificant, but over time they can transform how you experience life. The beauty of this practice is that it's available to anyone at any moment. You don't need special tools or training, just a willingness to pause and connect with the here and now. When you do, you might find that the present moment is far more vibrant and fulfilling than you ever realized. And in that realization, you'll discover a sense of peace and clarity that no amount of planning or reminiscing could ever provide. So, as you move through your day, ask yourself, where is my focus? Am I fully here, or am I lost in thoughts of what's next or what's past? By choosing to anchor yourself in the present, you're not just living, you're thriving. And that, in itself, is a gift worth embracing. Adversity is the gym for the soul. It's a bold statement, but one that captures the heart of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics didn't see challenges as something to avoid or fear. They saw them as essential tools for growth. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." In other words, just as lifting weights builds physical strength, facing adversity builds mental and emotional resilience. It's not about seeking out hardship, but about recognizing that when it comes, it has the potential to shape you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Take the story of someone like J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before her books became a global phenomenon, she faced what many would consider insurmountable odds. As a single mother living on welfare, she battled depression and rejection. Her manuscript was turned down by multiple publishers. But instead of letting these obstacles defeat her, she used them as fuel. Each rejection letter, each moment of doubt, became a stepping stone toward her eventual success. Rowling's story is a testament to the Stoic principle that adversity isn't just something to endure, it's something to harness. But let's bring this closer to home. Think about a challenge you faced in your own life. Maybe it was a career setback, a health issue, or the loss of a loved one. At the time, it might have felt overwhelming, even unbearable. But looking back, can you see how that experience shaped you? Perhaps it taught you patience, resilience, or the value of community. Maybe it revealed strengths you didn't know you had. The Stoics believed that every challenge carries a lesson, even if it's not immediately clear. So, what's one challenge that has made you stronger? It doesn't have to be a life-altering event. It could be something as simple as pushing through a difficult project at work or navigating a strained relationship. The key is to reflect on how that experience has contributed to your growth. When you start to see adversity as a teacher rather than an enemy, you unlock a powerful mindset, one that allows you to thrive, not in spite of life's challenges, but because of them. This isn't about romanticizing hardship or pretending it's easy. It's about shifting your perspective. Adversity isn't just a test of your strength, it's an opportunity to discover it. And when you embrace that mindset, you'll find that even the toughest moments can become catalysts for transformation. How might your next challenge change you for the better? When was the last time you truly paused to reflect on your life, not just skimming the surface, but diving deep into your thoughts, actions, and choices? For the Stoics, self-reflection wasn't an occasional luxury. It was a daily discipline, a way to cultivate self-awareness and continuous improvement. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, often turned inward, writing in his personal journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. His Meditations, now one of the most influential works in Stoic philosophy, began as private reflections, a way to examine his own character, challenges, and growth. This practice of self-reflection isn't about dwelling on regrets or inflating your ego. It's about honest self-assessment. It's asking yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I reacting to challenges with wisdom and courage? Or am I letting fear and frustration take the wheel? The Stoics believed that by regularly examining our thoughts and actions, we could identify patterns, correct mistakes, and make better choices moving forward. Take Seneca, another towering figure in Stoic philosophy. He made it a habit to end each day by reviewing his actions and intentions. In his letters, he described this practice as a way to call himself to account, asking questions like, what bad habit have I cured today? What fault have I resisted? In what way am I better? This wasn't just an intellectual exercise, it was a tool for transformation. By holding himself accountable, Seneca ensured that every day brought him closer to living a life of virtue and purpose. Now let's bring this into your own life. What's one area you could reflect on to improve? Maybe it's how you handle stress, the way you communicate with others, or even the habits that keep you from reaching your goals. The beauty of self-reflection is that it's deeply personal. It's not about comparing yourself to others or striving for perfection. It's about understanding yourself more deeply and making incremental progress. Imagine setting aside just 10 minutes at the end of your day to ask yourself a few thoughtful questions. What went well today? What could I have handled differently? What's one thing I'm grateful for? These small moments of introspection can have a profound impact over time, helping you build self-awareness, resilience, and clarity. The Stoics remind us that growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens through intention. By making self-reflection a regular practice, you're not just passing through life, you're actively shaping it. So, as you move through your day, consider this. What would it look like to truly examine your life, not just occasionally, but as a daily ritual? The answers might just surprise you. Who supports you when life gets tough? Think about it for a moment. Is it a close friend who listens without judgment, a family member who always has your back? Or maybe it's a mentor whose guidance helps you see the bigger picture. No matter who it is, one thing is clear: we're not meant to face life's challenges alone. The Stoics understood this deeply. While they often emphasized self-reliance, they also recognized the profound value of community and shared wisdom. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In other words, learning from others isn't just helpful, it's essential. The Stoics believed that surrounding yourself with the right people could elevate your thinking, strengthen your character, and help you navigate adversity with greater clarity. This wasn't about seeking constant validation or relying on others to solve your problems. It was about mutual growth, sharing insights, learning from each other's experiences, and drawing strength from the collective wisdom of a community. Take the example of modern support groups, whether it's a group for new parents, people overcoming addiction, or professionals navigating career challenges. These communities provide a space where individuals can share their struggles and triumphs. In these settings, people often find that they're not alone in their struggles, that others have faced similar challenges and come out stronger. This sense of connection can be incredibly empowering, reminding us that resilience isn't just an individual effort, it's a shared journey. Now, let's bring this closer to home. Who in your life helps you rise above adversity? Maybe it's a friend who always knows how to lift your spirits, a colleague who offers a fresh perspective, or even an online community that inspires you to keep going. The key is to recognize and appreciate these relationships, not just in moments of crisis, but as an ongoing source of strength and growth. The Stoics remind us that while we can't always control the challenges we face, we can choose who we surround ourselves with. When you cultivate relationships with people who encourage, challenge, and inspire you, you're not just building a support system, you're creating a foundation for a more resilient and meaningful life. So take a moment to reflect. Who in your circle helps you become the best version of yourself, and how can you show up for them in return? In a world that often celebrates individuality, the Stoics offer a powerful reminder. True strength isn't just about standing alone, it's about standing together. When we lean on each other, share our stories, and learn from one another, we don't just survive adversity, we thrive because of it, and that, more than anything, is the mark of a life well lived. Less is more in the pursuit of happiness. This might sound counterintuitive in a world that constantly tells us to want more, achieve more, and accumulate more. But for the Stoics, simplicity wasn't just a lifestyle choice, it was a path to freedom and fulfillment. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, warned, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." In other words, true wealth isn't measured by what you own, but by what you no longer feel compelled to chase. The Stoics believed that excess, whether in possessions, desires, or distractions, creates a kind of mental clutter that obscures what truly matters. It's like trying to see the stars in a sky filled with artificial light. When you strip away the unnecessary, you're left with clarity, focus, and a deeper appreciation for the essentials. This isn't about living in deprivation, it's about living with intention. Take the example of Diogenes of Sinope, one of the most radical Stoic figures in history. He famously lived in a large ceramic jar, owned only a cloak and a wooden bowl, and rejected all forms of luxury. When he saw a child drinking water from his hands, he threw away his bowl, realizing even that was more than he needed. Diogenes' extreme simplicity might seem unrelatable today, but his point was profound. The less you need, the freer you become. His life was a living testament to the idea that happiness isn't found in accumulation, but in liberation from the endless cycle of desire. Now, let's bring this into your own life. What's one area where you could embrace simplicity? Maybe it's decluttering your home, cutting back on mindless scrolling, or saying no to commitments that drain your energy. The goal isn't to live like Diogenes, but to ask yourself, what am I holding onto that no longer serves me? What could I let go of to create more space physically, mentally, or emotionally? The beauty of simplicity is that it's deeply personal. It's not about following a rigid set of rules, but about identifying what truly matters to you and letting go of the rest. When you do, you'll find that life becomes lighter, clearer, and more focused. You'll have more time and energy for the things that bring you joy, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply enjoying a quiet moment of reflection. So, as you move through your day, consider this. What's one thing you could simplify, not because you have to, but because you want to? When you choose simplicity, you're not just decluttering your life, you're reclaiming your freedom. And in that freedom, you'll discover a sense of contentment that no amount of excess could ever provide. When was the last time you embraced silence, not just the absence of noise, but true stillness, where your mind quiets, your breath slows, and you're left with nothing but the present moment? In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, silence can feel like a luxury, something we have to schedule or fight for. But for the Stoics, silence wasn't just a break from the chaos. It was a vital practice for gaining clarity, perspective, and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." These words remind us that silence isn't just about turning off the noise around us, it's about tuning into the stillness within. Think about the last time you unplugged from technology. No notifications, no scrolling, no constant stream of information. For many of us, that kind of intentional disconnection can feel uncomfortable at first. But what happens when you sit with that discomfort? You might notice your thoughts become clearer, your emotions settle, and your sense of focus sharpens. This isn't just a modern phenomenon, it's a timeless truth that the Stoics understood well. Silence, whether literal or metaphorical, gives us the space to reflect, recharge, and reconnect with what truly matters. Consider the example of a busy professional who decides to take a digital detox weekend. Instead of filling every moment with emails, social media, or entertainment, they choose to spend time in nature, journal, or simply sit quietly. At first, the silence might feel unsettling, even overwhelming. But over time, they begin to notice subtle shifts, a deeper sense of calm, a renewed appreciation for the simple things, and a clearer understanding of their priorities. This is the power of silence in action. It doesn't just quiet the noise around us, it helps us hear our own inner voice. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What's one way you could incorporate more silence into your life? Maybe it's starting your day with 5 minutes of meditation, taking a walk without your phone, or simply sitting quietly with a cup of tea before bed. The key isn't to overhaul your entire routine, it's to find small, intentional moments where you can step away from the noise and reconnect with yourself. The Stoics remind us that silence isn't just a retreat, it's a return to clarity, to presence, and to the quiet strength that lies within each of us. When you make space for silence, you're not just escaping the chaos, you're creating an opportunity to thrive in the midst of it. So, as you move through your day, ask yourself, where can I find a moment of stillness? The answer might just change everything. Who do you need to forgive? Think about it for a moment. Is it a friend who let you down, a family member who hurt you, or maybe even yourself for a past mistake? Forgiveness isn't just a kind gesture, it's a powerful act of liberation, one that the Stoics saw as essential for inner peace. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Forgive others for their misdeeds, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace." These words cut to the heart of what forgiveness truly is. Not about excusing someone else's actions, but about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of resentment. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you've been carrying a grudge against a colleague who took credit for your work. Every time you think about it, you feel that familiar surge of anger and frustration. But what if, instead of holding onto that resentment, you chose to let it go? Not because what they did was okay, but because you're tired of letting it control your emotions. This is the Stoic approach to forgiveness. It's not about the other person. It's about reclaiming your own peace of mind. Take the example of someone forgiving themselves for a past mistake. Maybe they missed a deadline, let someone down, or made a decision they later regretted. Over time, that guilt can weigh heavily, creating a cycle of self-criticism and doubt. But what if they chose to forgive themselves, not to erase the mistake, but to learn from it and move forward? This kind of self-forgiveness isn't about ignoring accountability, it's about embracing growth. Now let's turn this inward. Who could you forgive to lighten your own emotional load? It might be someone who hurt you years ago, or it could be a recent conflict that's still lingering in your mind. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or pretending the hurt never happened. It's about choosing to release the grip that resentment has on you, so you can move forward with greater clarity and calm. The beauty of this practice is that it's deeply personal. You don't need to announce your forgiveness to the world. It can be a quiet, internal shift. When you let go of grudges, you're not just freeing the other person, you're freeing yourself. And in that freedom, you'll find a sense of peace that no amount of holding onto anger could ever provide. So, as you reflect on this, ask yourself, who could you forgive today? What emotional weight might you release to create more space for joy, growth, and inner peace? Forgiveness isn't just a gift to others, it's a gift to yourself. And in giving it, you're not just moving on, you're stepping into a lighter, more liberated version of your life. True strength lies in humility. It's a statement that might catch you off guard in a world that often celebrates self-promotion and ego. But for the Stoics, humility wasn't a weakness. It was a cornerstone of wisdom and a key to genuine success. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, warned, "You will never be remarkable if you allow yourself to be puffed up with pride." In other words, arrogance blinds us to our flaws and limits our growth, while humility opens the door to learning, connection, and true achievement. Consider the story of Cincinnatus, a Roman statesman and farmer who embodied this principle. When Rome faced a dire crisis, Cincinnatus was called upon to lead as dictator, a position of immense power. But instead of clinging to that authority, he resolved the crisis swiftly and then, without hesitation, returned to his simple life of farming. His humility wasn't just admirable, it was transformative. By prioritizing the good of Rome over his own ambition, he became a symbol of leadership and integrity, remembered centuries later for his selflessness. Humility, in the Stoic sense, isn't about diminishing yourself or seeking approval. It's about recognizing your place in the larger tapestry of life, acknowledging that you're neither infallible nor indispensable. It's about approaching every situation with curiosity and openness, knowing there's always more to learn. This mindset doesn't just make you more relatable, it makes you more resilient. When you're humble, setbacks become lessons, criticism becomes feedback, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to grow. So, what's one way you could practice humility today? Maybe it's admitting when you don't have all the answers or listening more deeply to someone else's perspective. It could be as simple as acknowledging a mistake or celebrating someone else's success without envy. These small acts of humility might seem insignificant, but over time they build a foundation of strength and authenticity that no amount of pride could ever match. The Stoics remind us that humility isn't just a virtue, it's a superpower. It allows us to navigate life with grace, to connect with others on a deeper level, and to achieve success that's not just about personal gain, but about contributing to something greater than ourselves. When you embrace humility, you're not just becoming stronger, you're becoming the kind of person others look up to, not because you demand it, but because you've earned it. How might your life change if you practiced a little more humility today? What are you rushing toward? Take a moment to pause and consider that question. In a world that glorifies speed, instant results, and constant productivity, patience can feel like a forgotten virtue. But for the Stoics, patience wasn't just about waiting. It was about cultivating a mindset that values process over outcome, growth over instant gratification. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "A great fortune is a great slavery." At first glance, this might seem counterintuitive, but his point was profound. When we're fixated on rushing toward a goal, we often become enslaved to it, losing sight of the journey itself. Think about a modern example, the pursuit of a long-term career goal. Maybe you're working toward a promotion, launching a business, or mastering a new skill. It's easy to get caught up in the pressure to see immediate results, to measure your worth by how quickly you achieve success. But what if, instead of rushing, you embrace the process? What if you saw every step, every setback, and every small victory as part of a larger journey? This is the Stoic approach to patience. It's not about passively waiting. It's about actively engaging with the present moment, trusting that each step forward, no matter how small, is meaningful. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What's one area of your life where you could practice more patience? Maybe it's a project at work that's taking longer than expected, a personal goal that feels out of reach, or even a relationship that's evolving at its own pace. The key is to shift your focus from the destination to the journey. When you do, you'll find that patience isn't just a virtue, it's a source of strength, resilience, and deeper fulfillment. The Stoics remind us that life isn't a race to the finish line. It's a series of moments to be lived fully. By embracing patience, you're not just waiting for the future, you're savoring the present. And in that shift, you'll discover a sense of calm and clarity that no amount of rushing could ever provide. So, the next time you feel the urge to hurry, ask yourself, what am I truly rushing toward? And what might I gain by slowing down? The answers might just change how you approach not just your goals, but your life. What are you resisting in your life? Take a moment to really think about it. Is it a situation you can't control, a change you didn't ask for, or perhaps even a truth you're avoiding? Resistance, in many ways, is a natural human response. We push back against discomfort, uncertainty, and the things we don't want to face. But what if, instead of resisting, you chose to accept? This isn't about giving up or surrendering to fate. It's about freeing yourself from the struggle against what simply is. The Stoics called this practice acceptance, and for them, it was the key to inner peace and resilience. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. These words remind us that acceptance isn't passive, it's an active choice to stop fighting against the inevitable. When you accept what you can't change, you reclaim your energy and focus for what truly matters. It's like trying to swim against a powerful current. The more you fight, the more exhausted you become. But when you stop resisting and allow the current to carry you, you find a sense of calm and clarity that no amount of struggle could ever provide. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine someone receives a difficult health diagnosis, something they didn't see coming and can't change. At first, they might feel anger, fear, or even denial. These emotions are valid, but if they linger too long, they can become consuming. The Stoic approach would be to acknowledge the diagnosis fully, accept it as part of their reality, and then focus on what they can control, whether it's treatment options, lifestyle changes, or simply finding moments of joy in their day-to-day life. This acceptance doesn't erase the challenge, but it transforms how they engage with it, allowing them to move forward with strength and purpose. Now, let's turn this inward. What's one thing in your life you could accept to find greater peace? Maybe it's a situation at work that's beyond your control, a relationship that's changed in ways you didn't expect, or even a personal limitation you've been fighting against. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like it. It simply means you're choosing to stop resisting it. When you do, you'll find that the weight of that struggle begins to lift, leaving you with more energy, clarity, and resilience. The Stoics remind us that life is full of things we can't control, but our response to them is always within our power. When you embrace acceptance, you're not just making peace with the world, you're making peace with yourself. And in that peace, you'll discover a freedom that no amount of resistance could ever provide. So, as you reflect on this, ask yourself, what's one thing you could accept today to find greater calm and clarity? The answer might just change how you see your challenges and yourself. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's action despite it. This might sound like a contradiction, but for the Stoics, courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about moving forward even when fear was present. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most celebrated Stoic philosophers, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, fear isn't a barrier, it's an invitation to act, to grow, and to prove your strength. The Stoics believed that courage was essential for overcoming adversity. It wasn't just a virtue reserved for warriors or leaders, it was a daily practice, something anyone could cultivate. Think of it like this: every time you face a fear, whether it's public speaking, a difficult conversation, or even a personal goal that feels out of reach, you're exercising your courage muscle. And just like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Consider the story of Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Before he became a philosopher, Zeno was a merchant who lost everything in a shipwreck. Stripped of his wealth and stranded in a foreign city, he could have let fear and despair consume him. Instead, he chose to embrace his new reality. He wandered into a bookstore, discovered the teachings of Socrates, and began his journey into philosophy. Zeno's courage wasn't about being unafraid. It was about choosing to move forward despite his fear. His story reminds us that courage isn't just about grand, heroic acts. It's about the small, everyday choices to face what scares us. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What's one fear you could face today to grow stronger? It doesn't have to be something monumental. It could be as simple as speaking up in a meeting, trying something new, or confronting a habit that's holding you back. The key is to take that first step, even if your knees are shaking. When you do, you'll discover that courage isn't just about conquering fear. It's about transforming it into a source of strength. The Stoics remind us that fear is a natural part of life, but it doesn't have to control us. When we act with courage, we're not just overcoming obstacles, we're proving to ourselves that we're capable of more than we ever imagined. So the next time fear tries to hold you back, ask yourself, what's one small step I can take to move forward? That step, no matter how small, is where true courage begins. What does true wisdom look like to you? Is it the accumulation of knowledge, the ability to make sound decisions, or perhaps something deeper like the capacity to see life clearly and act with integrity, even in the face of uncertainty? For the Stoics, wisdom wasn't just about knowing things, it was about living well. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, captured this beautifully when he said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." In other words, true wisdom lies in understanding what truly matters and acting on it now, not someday in the distant future. The Stoics saw wisdom as the foundation of a good life. It wasn't just an intellectual exercise, it was a practical guide for navigating the complexities of existence. Wisdom, in their view, was about seeing the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. It was about recognizing that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond. This kind of wisdom doesn't come from books or lectures. It comes from experience, reflection, and the willingness to learn from both success and failure. Take the example of someone who's faced a major career setback. Maybe they lost a job they loved, or a business venture didn't go as planned. At first, the experience might feel like a crushing blow. But over time, if they're willing to reflect, they might begin to see the lessons hidden within the failure. Perhaps they discover they were chasing a path that didn't align with their values, or they realize they've developed new skills and resilience they didn't know they had. This is wisdom in action, turning adversity into insight and using that insight to grow stronger and more purposeful. Now, let's bring this closer to home. Think about a challenge you faced, a moment that felt like a setback, a failure, or even a crossroads. What did that experience teach you? Maybe it revealed a strength you didn't know you had, or it shifted your perspective on what truly matters. The Stoics believed that every challenge carries a lesson, but it's up to us to uncover it. Wisdom, then, isn't about having all the answers, it's about asking the right questions. It's about being curious, open, and willing to learn from every experience, good or bad. When you approach life this way, you're not just surviving, you're thriving, because every moment becomes an opportunity to grow. So, as you reflect on your own journey, ask yourself, what's one lesson you've learned from adversity? How has it shaped the way you see the world or the choices you make? True wisdom doesn't just change how you think, it changes how you live. And in that shift, you'll find a deeper, more meaningful way to navigate life's challenges and opportunities. How do you handle life's ups and downs? It's a question that touches on one of the most universal human experiences, navigating the unpredictable waves of joy, stress, and everything in between. For the Stoics, the key to weathering these fluctuations lay in the practice of equanimity, the ability to maintain inner balance regardless of external circumstances. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it simply, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, equanimity isn't about avoiding life's challenges, it's about meeting them with a steady mind and an open heart. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're at work, juggling multiple deadlines, unexpected setbacks, and a demanding boss. The stress starts to build, and you feel the urge to either explode in frustration or shut down completely. But what if, instead of reacting impulsively, you paused and reminded yourself, "This is temporary, I can handle this." This is equanimity in action, a deliberate choice to stay calm and focused even when the pressure mounts. The Stoics believed that equanimity wasn't just a lofty ideal, it was a practical skill anyone could develop. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, it feels wobbly and uncertain, but with practice you find your balance. Over time, you begin to notice that the bumps in the road don't throw you off as easily. You start to approach challenges with a sense of calm and clarity, knowing that while you can't control the situation, you can control your response. Take the example of someone navigating a high-stakes project at work. Instead of getting caught up in the chaos, fretting over every detail, or panicking at every setback, they choose to focus on what they can control. They break the project into manageable steps, communicate clearly with their team, and remind themselves that perfection isn't the goal, progress is. This mindset doesn't just reduce stress, it also enhances performance, allowing them to lead effectively even in the most challenging circumstances. Now let's turn this inward. What's one way you could practice greater equanimity today? Maybe it's taking a deep breath before responding to a stressful email, or reminding yourself to stay present during a difficult conversation. It could even be as simple as pausing to appreciate a moment of calm amidst the chaos. The key is to start small, recognizing that every moment of balance you create is a step toward greater resilience and peace. The Stoics remind us that life will always have its highs and lows, but our inner steadiness is something we can cultivate. When you practice equanimity, you're not just surviving the storm, you're learning to dance in the rain. So, as you move through your day, ask yourself, how can I meet this moment with calm and clarity? The answer might just change how you experience not just the challenge, but your entire life. Purpose is the antidote to suffering. It's a bold statement, but one that captures the heart of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that a life without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, adrift, vulnerable to every storm, and ultimately directionless. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, put it this way: "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. But also to act with purpose, For the Stoics, purpose wasn't just a nice to have, it was the foundation of a meaningful life. Living with purpose means more than just setting goals or chasing achievements. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest values, about knowing why you do what you do. When you have a clear sense of purpose, challenges become easier to navigate because you're not just enduring them, you're using them as opportunities to grow and contribute to something larger than yourself. Purpose gives suffering meaning, transforming it from a burden into a teacher. Take the example of Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic thinkers. Born into slavery, he faced unimaginable hardships, yet he didn't let his circumstances define him. Instead, he found purpose in teaching others how to live with freedom and dignity. His life was a testament to the power of purpose, not as something external, but as an internal compass that guided him through even the darkest times. Epictetus didn't just survive his suffering, he used it to illuminate a path for others to follow. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What's one way you could align your actions with your purpose today? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It could be as simple as choosing kindness in a difficult moment, dedicating time to a passion project, or even reflecting on what truly matters to you. The key is to start small, to take one step toward living in alignment with your values. Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you create moment by moment, choice by choice. When you live with intention, you're not just surviving life's challenges, you're thriving because of them. So, as you move through your day, ask yourself, what's one action I can take today that aligns with my purpose? The answer might just be the first step toward a more meaningful, fulfilling life. What are you holding onto that no longer serves you? It's a question that might make you pause, because we all have something, whether it's a grudge, a goal that's no longer aligned with who we are, or even an outdated idea of what success looks like. The Stoics understood this deeply, and they saw the act of letting go not as a loss, but as a liberation. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, put it beautifully. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. In other words, true wealth isn't found in clinging to what we have, but in releasing what weighs us down. Letting go might sound simple, but it's one of the hardest things to do. Think about a modern example. Imagine you've poured months, even years, into a project that ultimately didn't succeed. Maybe it was a business venture, a creative endeavor, or even a relationship. The instinct is often to hold on, to keep trying to fix it, or to dwell on what went wrong. But what if, instead of clinging to the outcome, you chose to let it go? This doesn't mean giving up. It means freeing yourself from the emotional weight of attachment. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to release what's no longer serving you and make space for something new. The Stoics called this practice detachment, and they saw it as essential for inner peace. Detachment isn't about indifference or apathy, it's about clarity. It's understanding that while you can't always control the outcome of your efforts, you can control how you respond to it. When you let go of the need for a specific result, you open yourself to a sense of freedom and possibility. You stop being a prisoner of circumstance and become an active participant in your own growth. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What's one thing in your life that you could let go of to find greater peace? Maybe it's a grudge you've been carrying, an expectation that's no longer realistic, or even a habit that's holding you back. The key isn't to judge yourself for holding on, it's to recognize when it's time to release. The beauty of this practice is that it's deeply personal. Letting go doesn't mean you have to erase the past or pretend it didn't matter. It simply means you're choosing to move forward with a lighter heart and a clearer mind. When you do, you'll find that what you gain in freedom far outweighs what you lose in attachment. So, as you reflect on this, ask yourself, what's one thing I'm ready to release? It might be something small, like a minor frustration, or something larger, like a long-held dream that no longer fits. Whatever it is, know this: letting go isn't the end, it's the beginning of a new chapter, one where peace, possibility, and growth await. And that, more than anything, is the gift of Stoic wisdom. What's one area of your life where you lack discipline? It's a question that might make you pause, because let's face it, discipline is hard. Whether it's resisting the snooze button, sticking to a diet, or staying consistent with a project, we all have moments where our willpower falters. But for the Stoics, discipline wasn't just about willpower, it was about self-mastery. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "No man is free who is not master of himself." These words remind us that true freedom and true success comes from the ability to govern our own actions even when it's difficult. Think about discipline as the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's not about perfection or never making mistakes. It's about showing up consistently, even when motivation runs low. Take the example of someone trying to build a fitness routine. The first few days might feel exciting, but as the novelty wears off, the real challenge begins. It's not about the bursts of energy at the start. It's about the quiet, daily decisions to lace up your sneakers and hit the gym, even when you'd rather stay on the couch. The Stoics believed that discipline wasn't just a tool for achieving goals, it was a way of life. It's the small, consistent actions, choosing to focus on what matters, resisting distractions, and staying true to your values, that build the foundation for long-term success. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, often reflected on this in his personal writings, reminding himself that discipline was the key to living a life of virtue and purpose. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What's one habit you could develop to strengthen your discipline? Maybe it's setting aside time each day to work toward a goal, or committing to a morning routine that sets the tone for the rest of your day. It doesn't have to be monumental. Small, intentional steps can lead to big changes over time. The beauty of discipline is that it's not just about achieving external results, it's about cultivating inner strength. Every time you choose to act with discipline, you're not just moving closer to your goals, you're proving to yourself that you have the power to shape your life. So, as you reflect on this, ask yourself, what's one area where I could take a small step toward greater discipline today? The answer might just be the beginning of a transformation you never thought possible. As we come to the end of this journey through Stoic wisdom, let's take a moment to reflect on the transformative tactics we've explored. From mastering the dichotomy of control to embracing adversity as a teacher, these principles are more than just ancient philosophy. They're practical tools for navigating life's challenges with resilience and grace. Stoicism teaches us that adversity isn't something to fear or avoid. It's an opportunity to grow, to strengthen our character, and to uncover the boundless potential within us. At its core, Stoicism is about reclaiming your power. It's about recognizing that while you can't control the waves of life, you can learn to surf them. By focusing on what's within your control, practicing acceptance, and finding purpose in every circumstance, you transform obstacles into stepping stones. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're actionable strategies that can help you rise above adversity and achieve next-level success, not just in your goals, but in your character and your ability to live a meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." These words capture the essence of Stoic philosophy. True strength comes from within. It's not about changing the world around you, it's about changing how you engage with it. When you embrace this mindset, you unlock a level of resilience and clarity that can carry you through even the toughest challenges. So, as you reflect on these principles, ask yourself, how can you apply these Stoic tactics in your own life? Maybe it's by letting go of what you can't control, or by seeing your next challenge as an opportunity to grow. Perhaps it's about finding moments of gratitude in the chaos, or embracing the present moment with all its imperfections. Whatever it is, know that you have the tools to rise above adversity and thrive. Now it's your turn. How will you use Stoic wisdom to transform your challenges into opportunities? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're applying these principles in your own journey. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on how to live with resilience, purpose, and Stoic wisdom. Together, let's continue to rise above adversity and create a life of meaning and success. Remember, the strength of the human spirit is limitless, and it all starts with the choices you make